Welcome to Burnout-Free Me, your success and well-being podcast. I'm Dr. Amy Grimm, and I am so glad you're here. Let's go from burnout to breakthrough together. You are listening to Daring DVM, and this is episode number 68. Hi, everyone. Today, I want to talk to you about a concept known as decision fatigue or decision debt. When we think about the word debt, what comes to mind is owing someone something. And for many of us, when we owe somebody something, it can feel draining. It's in the back of our minds. Most people do not enjoy the feeling of being indebted to someone. It brings up emotions of obligation and scarcity. So many of us view debt as a bad thing. And when we think about consumer debt in particular, many of us will have similar images of a person racking up debt on a credit card. And when you are continually using debt to purchase items, you further perpetuate your inability to be able to pay for something. It's like you have now created an obligation to your income because you need to pay off the current debt, which then makes it more likely that you won't be able to afford future items. Now, I want you to take this image and think about it in regards to your nervous system and your brain. Our cognitive brain, our prefrontal cortex, our amazing, capable CEO, is like our bank account with money. And you know what? Our bank account has a very large capacity. Our primitive monkey brain, our survival brain, toddler brain, is kind of like our credit card. And many times in life, we end up using our credit card for instant gratification and reward, when in reality, it would better serve us to fill our bank account to its fullest capacity. And our nervous system is kind of like the bank in general, right? It's the institution at which you have your cash accounts and your credit account. And just like it takes a big mind shift for us to get ourselves out of consumer debt and to change our relationship with debt, it also takes a huge mind shift to get out of our decision debt and to change our relationship with decision making so that we are no longer in decision fatigue. Our entire life is made up of a series of decisions. And when you make a decision, it moves you forward. Even if that decision does not turn out the way you had hoped or expected, it is still a step forward in that you now have new information and a new decision to make. So, for example, you make a decision that you want to be a veterinarian, which moves you toward the decision of studying hard and focusing on your grades. It also moves you towards the decision to gain relative work experience, the decision to make sacrifices in your life given the amount of time that you need to devote to your schooling. And these decisions move you towards vet school and graduation and the decision where you want to practice and how you want to practice, and the decision of making a lasting, sustainable, and healthy career for yourself. Now, if you decide that you do not want to be a veterinarian at some point in this journey, this would then lead you to make decisions to go in a different direction. And each decision you make will get you closer to realizing your goal. So this is a very simple example of how making decisions drives you forward no matter the destination. And I love the skill of making decisions because when you make a decision, it frees up your time and your energy. Decisions help us to live more conscious and intentional lives. And when we make decisions ahead of time and we plan for the future, we are able to utilize our wonderful CEO. Our prefrontal cortex houses all of our thinking and decision-making skills, and our capacity when functioning from this regulated state is infinite. Now, if you think about how many people actually live their lives, they are not as intentional or planned as we may expect. Sure, we do make some decisions like where we go to school and what career we choose, and if we want to be in a marriage or single or in a non-monogamous relationship. And we choose things like where we want to live and what car we want to drive, whether we want children or not. We do make a lot of decisions. Yet, for so many of us, we can still feel stuck in our lives or our careers, and we're left wondering where and what went wrong. And that's because so many of us live our lives on default. We end up living at the effect of our decisions that we make unconsciously. We default into previously made decisions or unconscious thought patterns and beliefs or spur-of-the-moment decisions. And there is plenty of evidence in the world that shows this to be true. How many of you know someone who is staying in an unfulfilling marriage because they just default to their previous decision of deciding to be married, and therefore they don't make a new decision to get a divorce? How many of you have dreams of moving to a different state or a different country, yet you just default to the decision you made previously to live in your current city, and you just stay where you are? What about those of us who just stay in the same job or the same career because it's what we decided to do when we were younger, and we're avoiding the decision of what we actually want to do next on purpose? If you're not continually re-evaluating your decisions and choosing on purpose what you want and what you want to do next, then you, my friend, are living on default. You are letting your life happen to you. And just to be clear, there is nothing wrong with changing your mind. There is nothing wrong with re-evaluating and making a new decision. But what you don't want to do is just keep living the effects of previously made decisions, because this is how you end up feeling stuck. Just because you made a decision before does not mean that you have to keep making the same decision. You can think about it like consent. Just because you said yes before does not automatically make the next time a yes. So how does this relate to the concept of debt? When you do not make a decision, or when you procrastinate on making a decision, or you prolong your decision-making process, what happens is that you pile up a debt of unmade decisions. These unmade decisions that keep nagging at us and fill up the back of our mind. This is what happens when you tell yourself that you don't know what to do, or that you're confused, or that maybe it's not the right time, or that you need to think about it more. All of these thoughts sound reasonable, yet this is the type of thinking that keeps us in confusion. Confusion can lead to overthinking and ruminating, as well as in some cases catastrophizing and worrying. It can worsen anxiety and create fatigue and eventually lead to burnout. The thing is, the way you think about your decisions and the way that you show up in your decision-making process either energizes you and moves you forward, or it wears you out and keeps you stuck. So for example, let's go back to your career. Let's say you are considering changing jobs, and you find yourself in two minds about it. There are positives and negatives to staying where you are, and there are positives and negatives to starting somewhere new. So you're weighing all of these things up in your mind, and you're thinking, well, maybe I want to do this, or maybe not. What if a new job doesn't create the experience I'm looking for? But what if I stay here and I miss out on a good opportunity? I'm not really sure what I want to do or what's best. I guess I'll wait it out a little bit longer and see if anything changes around here, or I'll see if there's something else that pops up that seems particularly appealing. And what happens is you create this open-ended decision-making process in the back of your mind that is continually running in the background, even if you are not consciously aware of it, and it perpetuates this drain of energy because your brain is constantly running and running and running through different scenarios and thinking about different things, yet there is no forward momentum. So instead, the little wheels in your brain are just spinning, spinning, spinning. And I think this is an important concept to understand because your brain does not have unlimited energy. This is why we start to feel fatigued. This is why it can sometimes seem exhausting to even make a decision. Your brain only has so much energy to use throughout the day. And if you have the drain of unmade decisions running in the background, you are going to use up the limited amount of energy that you do have for the rest of your day, or month, or year, or life. You need to be intentional about what you want to use your brain's energy for. Knowing that you have a limited amount of energy, what do you want to use it on? Do you want your brain to constantly be reconsidering the same things over and over and over again and draining your energy? Or would you rather make a decision and use your energy to then make the next decision and intentionally use your energy to create the experience or produce the result that you want? This constant state of indecision is creating an energy debt. And besides the fatigue and mental exhaustion this creates, it also does not produce a result for you. All the unmade decisions that you have in your life cost you energy and create debt and keep you stuck. It's like all these potential decisions are just piling up and draining the energy from your brain. And this debt of energy makes it more difficult for us to then make a decision and to move forward. Every decision that we make requires our brain to focus, and it takes energy for us to think and to plan and to consider what it is that we want for our lives. So if our tank is already running on empty, it is going to be a lot more difficult to think clearly and to make decisions in our best interest. We are losing energy to the constant background noise and overthinking and rumination, rather than using that energy to make a decision and using that energy to take the actions that we need to take to create the results that we want. Eventually, what can happen is that we don't have enough money in the bank, enough energy for our cognitive thinking brain to function in its state of regulation. So instead, we take out our credit card. Our credit card is our survival brain, and our survival brain has just one job, and that is to keep us alive. As long as we are alive and surviving, it's happy. It doesn't give a shit if you're not thriving. So we start spending from this dysregulated state, and we rack up more debt as we try to make decisions that bring us just a little bit of instant gratification or pleasure to somehow help us deal with the discomfort of where we are in our lives and the fact that we haven't yet made a clear decision to move forward. In this state of dysregulation, you're going to be operating mostly from fight or flight. You're making decisions from your survival brain using your survival responses. And the decisions you make from this place are not going to be made from your highest self. There will be feelings of anxiety or pressure or frustration, resentment, scarcity, fear, shame that will fuel any decisions you make. These types of feelings are going to cloud your judgment, which means that you're not going to be operating from your resilient and regulated state. And as you continue to rack up debt on your credit card, your bank is eventually going to cut you off. If you cannot get back to your regulated state and replenish your prefrontal cortex bank account and pay off your debt, your nervous system is going to cut you off. And this is because your nervous system moves you from that hyperactivated state of dysregulation to a state of hypoactivation, and eventually burnout and shutdown. And now we really feel stuck. Now even the energy required to think about or make a decision seems insurmountable. So one of the questions that I think is worth asking is, why do we do this? Why do we leave so many unmade decisions running in the back of our minds? Why do we keep consuming instead of replenishing our own energy? Why do we let our decision debt consume and drain us and leave us in a place of unmade decisions and unlived experiences? The reason we do this is because we have this belief system that there are right and wrong decisions. And built into this belief system is a thought that we need to make the right decision. We are scared to make the wrong decision. And this comes back to that doctor brain that we've been talking about. This desire to make the right decision and solve the problem or create a good outcome. Because those are the types of thinking skills we use at work, and our brain is the same brain at work and at home, so we often default to these thought patterns in our personal lives too. And we also have this fear of failure, of making the wrong decision, because in our careers, one small mistake could potentially lead to a life-threatening or even fatal outcome. There can be big risks involved. And once again, our doctor brain is acutely aware of this and has been trained to function within this reality, and as a result continues to function so in our everyday lives too. So we prefer to sit in a world of decision debt because in this scenario, where we are not making a decision and not potentially putting ourselves at risk of an unexpected outcome, our survival brain is keeping us safe. Our survival brain is telling us that it is safer to be uncomfortable and to stay where we are, even if it's not the best decision for us. It is safer for us to stay here than it is to risk taking action. Our survival brain has a fear of the unknown. Our brains hate uncertainty. Oftentimes, we would rather be certain about staying somewhere that we know and in which we are uncomfortably comfortable than risking the discomfort of making a decision with an unknown outcome. Maybe I won't leave this job. I don't enjoy the work that I do here, but I'm scared that if I do leave, I may not make as much money as I do here. Or my schedule may be terrible, or I may end up in an even worse work environment. Maybe I'll keep staying in this relationship. We've grown apart and we barely speak to each other except when it's about the children. But what if I leave and I cannot find somebody else? What if I leave and end up making the same mistakes again? What if I can't make it on my own? Maybe I'll stay in this career because I don't know if I have the energy to go back to school or to do a residency. I don't know if I have the energy or capacity to study for another exam. It's going to take a lot of work for me to give up my current standard of living and go back to living like a student. And the thing with each of these examples is that every time we remain in a state of indecision, we use up more energy and we use up more time, and we remain in a state of discomfort that gets us nowhere. And the truth is, you're going to be uncomfortable either way. So you might as well be uncomfortable while you create the experience that you want and you get the results that you want. Staying in a relationship that has fizzled out and in which you're just going through the motions is uncomfortable. Leaving the relationship and starting over is uncomfortable. Staying in a job or a career in which you are unfulfilled or burning out is uncomfortable. Trying something new and putting in the time and energy to do something different is also uncomfortable. The big difference here is that one of these forms of discomfort is going to get you to the result that you want. The other form of discomfort is only going to perpetuate what you don't want. When you do not make decisions, you do not go anywhere. And your survival brain keeps trying to keep you safe by 1, not making important decisions that move you forward, and 2, by making small, pleasurable, distracting, or buffering decisions to help keep you where you are because it doesn't want you to take the risk of the unknown. But really, what you're doing is perpetuating this life of a holding pattern, which keeps you in debt and perpetuates this false idea that you are doing something by waiting and trying to see how things go. So what I would encourage you to think about is, what is your own decision debt costing you? At what price will you continue to remain in indecision? The truth is, if you continually find yourself struggling to make decisions and you're telling yourself that you don't know what you want to do, or you're not sure how to do it, or when to do it, or if it's correct or incorrect, then this is a sign that you actually need to work on your skill of decision making. Yes, decision making is a skill. Just like learning how to walk or ride a bicycle is a skill. Just like learning how to do a limb amputation is a skill. And just like learning how to navigate difficult conversations with clients is a skill. Decision making is also a skill that can be developed. And how do you develop the skill? By making decisions. The reason that you are uncertain or unsure or don't know what you want is because you haven't made enough decisions. Which sounds really crazy because you're probably thinking, well, how do I even make a decision if I don't even know what decision to make or what I want? Yet the truth is, you have to make a decision in order to find out what it is that you want. You have to make a decision to clear up any uncertainty. So if you make a decision to stay at your hospital and nothing changes and you feel like this is not a good fit for you, then great, now you have the confirmation that staying there is not the best fit for you and you can use this information to decide what you want to do next. If you make a decision to stay at your hospital and many things change, like your boss finally gets rid of that one employee who does not pull their weight, or makes the schedule changes that you've been requesting, or implements a workflow that helps you be efficient and take care of your patients and leave on time, then great. Now you have confirmation that staying here is a good fit. Likewise, if you make the decision to leave and you end up in a new work environment that is equally bad or worse, then great. Now you have the information you need to decide what to do next. And if you make the decision to leave and you end up in a new environment that is amazing and in which you fit right in and you love your job, then great. You now have confirmed that this was a good next step for you. In any of these scenarios, regardless of whether you choose to stay or you choose to leave, the important part is that you are choosing. You are making a decision. You are making a choice. You decide what it is you want to do, and then you see the result that it creates. This result is new information in helping you move forward to any future decisions. Decision debt and decision fatigue occur when instead of choosing to stay or to leave, you just choose to remain in indecision and wait it out and see what happens. And all of these thoughts about whether you should stay or go or what is possible versus not possible keep spinning in the back of your brain and draining your energy. The key here is making a decision and being present in the decision that you've made. And once you've made a decision, set yourself a time frame for review. Decide, I am going to remain in this job for 3 more months, and if by the end of those 3 months nothing has changed, then I am going to leave. Or decide that I am going to leave this job and I will remain in a new job for 6 months, and then I will reevaluate my decision. If you do not reevaluate your decisions and you leave them open with no time frame, then you'll just end up living in indecision again. When you make a decision and you've set a time frame for reevaluation, then what your brain can do is stop thinking about it and spinning on it, and instead focus that energy into taking action and being present in your life. And the secret to being able to do this, to be able to develop the skill of decision making through making decisions, is to drop that belief that your decisions can be right or wrong. And especially the thought error that you need to make a correct decision. Because in reality, every decision you make is just a circumstance in your life, and all circumstances are neutral. Decisions are not right or wrong, they're not good or bad, unless you decide that they are. Decisions are just neutral steps that you take along your journey to creating the life that you want to live. This is a very powerful way to make decisions. Just decide for yourself that no matter what decision you make, it is going to be the right one. No matter what decision you make, you will have new and more complete information. No matter what decision you make, you are going to be happy. No matter what decision you make, you will have an amazing life. And when you truly believe that and you anchor yourself in that resilient and regulated state, where you have full access to your prefrontal cortex and your decision-making skills, then which choice do you make? If there are no wrong answers, then which decision do you choose? Really think about how each scenario feels in your body. Is there a sense of calmness or agitation? If everything could go right, which option would you choose? What feels good to you? When you truly believe that every decision you make for yourself is the right decision, and that each time you make a decision you just gain more clarity in making the next decision, then your decision-making process is going to become so much easier. You are going to drop the fear of failure or self-judgment. You will trust that even if the result is not what you wanted, you are capable of making the next decision to move forward again. Be intentional, be thoughtful, be deliberate, and set a time frame for re-evaluation. Do not allow your brain to wax and wane and go back and forth and continually change your mind and then redecide and then decide again, because this will only cost you more energy. Instead, commit to your decision, be fully present, and gather the information you need to make a new decision at the time you reevaluate. Being able to make decisions and plan an intentional life is a privilege. Don't squander your life in indecision and then look back with regrets about what could have been. When you delay your decisions or remain in indecision, all you do is rack up more debt by draining yourself of more energy, thereby making it more difficult for you to achieve the things that you want in life. Instead, when you practice making decisions and being deliberate with your time and energy, and deliberately re-evaluating, then you will go on a journey worth living. This is how you create your life of intention, fulfillment, and joy. Okay, my friends, as always, if you would like help with any of this, please reach out to me. I work one-on-one with people who want to get unstuck and start creating a life that they love. You can find me at Daring DVM on Instagram, Dr. Amy Grimm on LinkedIn, or visit me on my website, daringdvm.com. I love who you are, and even more than that, I love who you're becoming. Dare to dream!